The Sears in Burbank Town Center opened in 1991 and closed in 2025.
There's more for your life. Cheryl Teagues is calling me. Gotta have it. We agree. There's more for your life at Sears. So shop around. Smile for Daddy. Give him a high. Pull up a seat. Pick up a vibe. Come on in and shop. It's so hard to stop. There's more for your life. More for your life at Sears.
The important thing is we still have our home. So let's celebrate. Put on your Sunday best, kids. We're going to Sears.
In July of 1991, the Sears at First and Magnolia Boulevard in Burbank opened. A Los Angeles Times article called it a sleek pastel-shaded contemporary structure. Its massive base was stately hand-cut Indian stone. Its facade was acrylic punctuated by opaque glass. At the time, it was billed as the first Sears in America to reflect the company's new design priorities. The Burbank store is definitely not a typical Sears. We did not look to our old stores for design inspiration when we built it. The Times article goes on to explain that the exterior of the Sears Burbank store reflected the company's eagerness to complement the architecture and color palette of the Media City Center where it resided. The store's base was earthly red-toned, its facade creamy white with yellow vertical highlights that blend with the Media City Center's yellowish pastel hues. It was 132,000 square feet. Inside, too, the Sears Burbank was sleek, spacious, and clean. Merchandise was neatly laid out below attractive lighting, and departments are no longer gender-specific, although they remain unique in function. The Sears would see the mall change names from the Media City Center to the Burbank Town Center. The department store chain was founded in Chicago, Illinois in 1892, and as recently as 2012 had boasted over 4,000 stores across the U.S. Business began to crumble in 2010, and by 2017, Sears had only 695 locations. The vast majority have now closed since the company filed for bankruptcy in October of 2018. Sears was on the brink of closing all of its stores for good before CEO Eddie Lampert submitted a last-minute bid valued at $4.4 billion in 2018. He upped the bid to $5.2 billion and saved 400 stores. The Burbank store was no stranger to closing. In fact, in December of 2022, the store actually did close, temporarily. This wasn't due to the pandemic, but because online shopping, as well as discount stores and big box retailers like Walmart, had siphoned off Sears' customers over the years, resulting in declining customers and sales. In October of 2023, it was announced that a Sears was reopening. What should have been the moment of triumph for Sears in Burbank was ruined when customers stepped inside. Following the initial closure of the 130,000 square foot space, it was then reopened to the public, but they were ultimately less than impressed. In fact, there was little publicity when the store reopened. I had even made a visit to the store in October of 2023, a week after it was announced that they had reopened. Many noted the poor condition of the store itself, along with the empty shelves. The reopening was branded by customers as the saddest thing I've ever seen. One visitor at the time said there were a lot of empty shelves, with most of the merchandise on the shelves lining the outer walls. Most of the Sears was barren, outside of the few specific areas like bicycles and toys. Another said, "It looks like it's about to close up, not like it just reopened." But there were those who defended the Burbank reopening on social media. A more positive customer wrote, "I'm rooting for you, Sears. Don't go gently into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Fight for every customer, every dollar. You have to start somewhere. People will predict your failure. Interrupt them by exceeding expectations. Make those moments matter. I believe." In fact, I was in the same camp as them. I was rooting for them to stay open. my whole childhood was centered around going to Sears at the Brea Mall. From getting clothes for school, toys in the kids department, popcorn and an icy at the snack kiosk, pictures in the Sears photo studio, my parents' car service in the service shop, to buying the new Michael Jackson Thriller cassette in the electronics department. Sears was the place to go. It was the Sears catalog that we looked forward to during Christmas time. It was the dark and sinister looking electronics department that we would browse at all the tube TVs of all shapes and sizes. I don't know about you, but there was a distinct smell that all Sears stores had when you first walked in. My parents worked at Allstate Insurance, and they were originally associated with Sears. We used to get the employee discount at Sears. In fact, my parents got one of the first Discover credit cards there because it was also associated with Sears. The Burbank store has struggled with low shopper numbers since opening in 2023. In 2024, Sears closed its last Washington store and then closed its only remaining New York location. On the closing of the Washington store, one former associate mentioned, "It's a landmark. It's something you grew up with. It's something you could trust," Barbie Talamonte, a former Sears staffer, said of the closure in Tukwila, a city 10 miles south of Seattle, Washington. On July 23, 2025, mall ownership was notified that the Sears store in Burbank was closing in the near future. No timetable was provided by representatives of the Sears owner, Transformco, when that might have happened. In June of 2025, Sears announced it would close its Whittier store by the end of July. The three-story store at Burbank Town Center opened in the 1990s. They eventually closed their store on July 26, 2025. News that the Burbank store was closing came around the same time the Whittier store closed. In fact, the public, and from what I understand, the employees, were given about a month notice before the Burbank store was set to close. Even before the Burbank store announced its closure, many of you who watched my last video about the Whittier store closing made comments about it. I want to do a shout out to all of you guys. Thanks for sharing your memories as well. I appreciate you all. With the closure of the Sears store in Burbank, it will spell the end and last of the 139-year-old chain's traditional Southern California retail stores. With the closing of the Whittier and Burbank stores, Sears, once one of the most successful department stores in America, will be down to just 5 U.S. locations. The remaining Sears can be found in Northern California, Florida, Massachusetts, and Texas. Another Sears in Orlando, Florida is in danger of closing after its owners put it up for sale earlier this year. On August 31st, 2025, the Sears at the Burbank Town Center and the last Sears in Southern California closed its doors for good. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Thanks.